Because of Russia's unjustified invasion of Ukraine and among many others, the blockade of its seaports, Ukraine has been unable to export goods to destinations around the world via the usual routes. This situation threatened global food security, and alternative routes were needed urgently. To talk about pragmatic solutions in the current context, we invited our dear colleague from the Danube Commission, Mrs. Virginia Oganessian, inland waterway transport expert. Dear Virginia, welcome to our program. Thank you for joining us. Let's dive in and talk about one of the most important issues on the agenda nowadays, the Danube Solidarity Lane for EU-Ukraine trade and the recently renewed grain agreement.
If to speak about Black Sea corridor, we had just recently had our coordination meeting with Ukrainian Seaport Authority. Black Sea corridor, as you know, it was prolonged for the next 120 days under the same conditions. Current turnover of these three ports of the Black Sea corridor is around 11.5 million tons. And the Danube corridor, the Danube cargo flow is around 55, 57 tons per day for the three ports of Ukraine and the Danube region. This is Reni, Ismail, and Chilia. So basically, it's all grain export. I mean, Black Sea corridor, it's only grain export, as you know, and the Danube corridor, it's mostly also grain export. The certain percentage is also vegetable oil, and import is like quite small share. It's just 15% of import. And what is the official data? It's like for the 9 months of the 2022, the turnaround of these three ports was 11 million tons, which is like 3.5 times more than during the previous period, during the same period of the previous year. So yeah, the current situation is, I think it's more important to speak about the main bottlenecks, or yeah. So, as I mentioned, there were a number of bottlenecks existing, such as long waiting time for the formalities in gullets. In Romania. Now this was removed. There was a second inspection team implemented. So this contributed significantly to the reduction of waiting times. So now it's maximum 24 hours. That's what we hear from the ship owners. 24 hours, and for container line, which was actually launched recently, the container line, it's maximum 3 hours. So that was also recorded. So another problem coming from the side of again administrative procedures was long phytosanitary, the requirement for phytosanitary certificates, which was also negotiated that for the transportation to EU, it's not needed from Ukraine. There are still some unclarities with Romanian authority. We are working on it to solve it, because it's also important to remove this bottleneck, you know, to save the time. With regard to rail connectivity, there was at the beginning, at the early stage, you know, the need to repair the connection between gullets, also the wide gauge rail, wide gauge, sorry, and it was very in a rather short terms. It was renovated, and then the traffic also started there. So as you also might know, the was a significant bottleneck from the perspective of the pilotage of Sulina Canal. At the beginning, it was a huge queue that could be also traced via marine traffic, for example. It was a huge queue of vessels at the entrance of Sulina. We were also working together with the representatives of Romanian Authority, Naval Authority, the Lower Danube Waterway Administration, the Ukrainian Seaports Authority working mutually together. And currently there is a significant improvement also, of course, due to the opening of Bystroye Canal, it's the canal in Ukrainian territory. And now the number of pilots increased, first of all, and there is also going to be launched a project under the POEM program, the operational the large infrastructure operational program, which is aiming for the also improving the infrastructure of the Sulina Canal for let's say 24 hours operation provision, implementation of new digital solutions. So yeah, this is all aiming to improve the current traffic and to provide more pilotage. And also what is important to mention, the common Ukraine also joined Common Transit Convention, the procedure which is setting out common, let's say, common procedures for international transit of goods. So currently no barges arrived yet, but we are also discussing it with the Ukrainian farmers company Nibulon to have a first shipment under this convention, and then to facilitate further market uptake by other players. So yeah, and of course the situation in Orlovka, Isakcha, yeah, that's also important to mention that there are also certain limitations in terms of ferry capacity, so long also waiting times for trucks. Sometimes really takes up to 10 days, depending on the situation. Of course, it is different. But yeah, this is also an important point what we are working on. And of course, it has to be always kept in mind that Black Sea corridor is only for grain, while the Danube ports are also for import. And this, in our discussions with the European Commission, we really spoke about the necessity of the contingency plan and the necessity of expanding EU solidarity lanes, not only for grain, but for other types of goods. So this would be also an important point on also to take into account with regards to, because also lots of import other ports are blocked. So basically only the Danube ports remain for all the different cargos. Yeah, so these are two key points. So to expand the solidarity lanes on other types of goods, and also to have additional plan to handle if in certain case, this war situation is quite unpredictable. So today we have this Black Sea corridor agreement. Tomorrow we never know what will happen on the battlefield, and how would be the reaction of Russia, because since the beginning of this, since the opening of the agreement, we have heard lots of things that, well, Russia is against this and that, and there are also the bottlenecks, as far as I know, in the port of, for entering the Black Sea ports. There are also long formalities, waiting times, and the other is the question of insurance. So it's still, and also what we can see from the volumes of cargo, the Danube corridor is, of course, has an important strategic role in this regard, and it will definitely keep functioning, and for sure potentially will grow. That's also will be expanded to the other types of goods as well.
Eugenia, as the Danube Commission's outlook is connected with the creation of a unified navigation system of inland waterways in Europe, how can you assist or support Ukraine with the implementation of EU directives 1629 and 2397, well, where EU-based standards and procedures do to benefit the Ukrainian inland waterway transport sector?
Yeah, Thank you. This is a very important question. This is also a very important part of the Danube Commission's activities. We just had recent discussions in our technical working group meeting and juridical working group meeting, which was just a couple of weeks ago. First, with regards to the Directive 2397, we had developed the working platform for the implementation of this directive into Danube navigation, where there are certain steps envisaged for the support of the Danube Commission's member states, which are not the member states of the European Union. It was also the main focus point there is that it is important to have this 10 years of transitional period until the 7th of January 2032, in order to avoid, the situation which can really block the navigation on the Danube. For the 19th plenary session of the Danube Commission, there was proposed certain draft of the decision for the recognition of the crew certificates for inland navigation. So it was proposed to recommend to the member states, to the EU member states, to recognize the national documents of the crew, which were issued before 18th of January 2024, to recognize them and to to keep it in operation. And also it was with regards to support of Ukraine in the process of implementation of Directive 1629. For the 97th session of the Danube Commission, there was prepared the draft decision for the recognition of the vessels documents of the member states of the Danube Commission, which are non-EU member states. So the decision was prepared, but it was decided that it requires certain amendments. So we are still working on it. There was created an ad hoc group with the active participation of Ukrainians, also Moldovans experts who are actively discussing this issue. So it has to be, certain amendments are required, and it's now under revision, this draft decision. So currently, within this ad hoc group. So it's basically work ongoing, of course. So we are really dedicating lots of attention to this issue, because especially in the light of the war situation, these are the top questions to be taken into account in order to avoid additional bottlenecks, additional issues which can hinder the navigation on the Danube. So those are one of our key important tasks, I can say.
Post-war, what do you reckon, Virginia, would be both the challenges and the opportunities for the Ukrainian river navigation sector, for the inland waterway transport sector?
This is indeed the question where I can say we have both big perspectives, but also important challenges. This war actually showed us that the importance of the inland waterway transport and the importance of the addressing resilience of the inland waterway transport. I think it's a very good word that's used also very often in the TEN-T discussions. Resilience, this is something what we have to address first of all. The main what I can see as the main perspective for the inland waterway transportation also like an after war, after the end of the war, we will have to rebuild the country, and this means large volumes of cargo to be transported, also high and heavy cargo. So this is where the inland waterway transport can play an important role, and especially when we are speaking about large volumes, about also the connectivity with the rest of the country. So I think not only the Danube corridor, but also other inland waterways of Ukraine has to be, work as an interconnected system. Yes, I am sure the potential will be there definitely, and the war had shown once again the importance of the development of the inland waterways continuously, and addressing an aspect, of course, of resilience. And of course, I think what has to be mentioned in this regard, digitalization, dematerialization, sorry, all these are the also important points to take into account, because this all contributes to simplification of administrative procedures, elimination of long waiting times, simplification, and bringing all stakeholders together under certain platforms, like similar to single window. This is all has to be addressed, because when we speak about physical infrastructure, of course, this is long-term, long-term commitments, large investments, while digital solutions, they can help in a comparatively short time frame to address, to tackle the most important, the crucial, sometimes crucial issues in logistics, and to facilitate the cargo flow between different member states, especially here when we speak about EU and non-EU member states. This is also important to simplify the formalities.
Thank you, Virginia, for sharing with us your insights and expertise, hoping in a very, very near future for all of us to return back to Ukraine and continue to assist the country in its development. Much appreciated. Thank you.
Дуже дякую, дуже дякую. Я вірю в нашу перемогу. Я, по-перше, вірю в те, що нашу націю нічим не зломити. Слава Україні, героям слава! Україна переможе, Україна понад усе. Дуже дякую, дуже дякую.